We are looking at the features. Features of what? A circle from its expanded equation. All right, so let's go ahead and just get started with the equation of a circle, which is x minus h, quantity squared, plus y minus k, quantity squared, equaling the radius, r squared, where h and k are the center of the circle. All right, so they give us this equation here. A certain circle can be represented by the following equation. Yes. What's the center? So they're asking what the center of the circle. And they're also asking what is the radius? The radius of the circle. Okay. So when we look at this, we need to fit it in this form, which pretty much means all the x's need to be impacted together and made into a perfect square. All the y's need to be impacted together and make a perfect square, and the constants or the numbers by themselves need to be on the by themselves on the right side usually of the equation, and then we can use that information to help us find the equation of the circle. To do this, we're going to use completing the square. To complete the square, we need to complete the square number. So remind yourself, what is the complete the square number? It would be the b, the middle term, divided by 2, quantity squared. Now there's two ways that you can interject this complete the square number. We can do it on one side, adding and subtracting, or we can do it on both sides with the same number. Since this is squared, it is always positive. So we're looking at the positive one to help us complete the square. The easiest way to do this, in my opinion, would be to do it to both sides of the equation, to add them to both. All right, so first thing, let's get our x's together. So x's together, x squared, check, minus 4x, check. And that we're going to look at. I'm just going to use some parentheses so I can see it kind of isolated by itself. And then we have the plus. I'm just using a plus. And then let's look at the y's. We have y squared minus 12y. And this negative 9, let's just go ahead and add it to both sides right here. So I'm going to add 9 to this side, add 9 to this side. So this equals, instead of 0, it will now equal 9. That way the constant doesn't get in the way on the left. Okay, so we're going to use the b over 2, and let's remind ourselves the generalized form of the quadratic equation. Quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c. All right, and then we're looking at the number in front of x. Number in front of x is our b. So in this case, it's a negative 4, and in this case, it's a negative 12. So we have to do those separately. All right, so let's go ahead and get that out of the way. B over 2 quantity squared. So keep that in mind. All right, so let's start with x squared minus 4x. Okay, our b is negative 4. All right, so that's our b. So it's going to be, let me just get it over here, b over 2 quantity squared. So for our side work on this one, it's going to be negative 4 over 2 quantity squared, which is negative 2 quantity squared, which is equal to positive 4. Now, I really like writing it this way because it's real important to recognize there's a little shortcut right here. This negative 2 is going to be what is in our perfect square binomial. So it's going to be inside with the x term in this case. So it should be x minus 2 quantity squared. But let's go ahead and go through it. So now I have that 4 is being added to it. So it's x squared minus 4x plus this 4 right here. And then if I'm adding it to one side of the equation, so right here, I will just go ahead and put it right here, I'm adding a 4 into here. Okay, so if I add 4 to one side of the equation, I have to add 4 to the other side of the equation. So on this side of the equation, I'm also going to add 4. All right, so that's the first one. Let's go ahead and look at the next one. The next one is, let's see, I'll go ahead and try to do my work over here. We got for my y squared minus 12y. I'm using the same complete the square number, and I need to find out what that is. So my side work is, it's going to be negative 12 is the number in front of it. It doesn't have to be x always. It could be whatever variable. It's the variable that has a single exponent on it. So in this case, it was negative 4. In this case, it's negative 12. So negative 12 divided by 2, quantity squared. And this equals negative 12 divided by 2 is our negative 6. And remember that negative 6 is going to pop up later. Quantity squared. So the number we're adding and subtracting is 36. All right. So on this one, inside of this parentheses set, I'm going to add 36. And if I add it to one side, I have to add it to the other side. Add 36. Okay, this is everything we need. Now let's go ahead and look at it. I'll go ahead and go slowly this time. So if I look at it, I want to make sure I don't get any of my work confused. All right, so on this one, we got x squared minus 4x plus 4. I'll go ahead and just keep it in parentheses so it's a little bit easier for the brain to kind of recognize we're treating that separately. Plus y squared minus 12y plus 36. All of this equals 9 plus 36 is 45, plus 4 is 49. That's nice. All right, so now notice what two numbers multiply to be positive 4, add to be negative 4. I'll give you a hint. Bing! So this is going to be x minus 2 times x minus 2, which we would just write as x minus 2 quantity squared. Same thing for the other one. What two numbers multiply to be 36, add to be negative 12? I'll give you a hint. And that would be y minus 6 times y minus 6. We just write it as y minus 6 quantity squared. Equals, I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this in terms of our r squared. So that's going to be 7 squared. So we can now see that h is negative 2. X minus h, x minus 2, h is 2. K is 6. Y minus k, y minus 6. I like to think of it as the opposite of negative 2, positive 2, the opposite of negative 6, positive 6. And then our R is 7. Okay, let's just go ahead and fill it in on our answer. So our center, the x component on our center is 2. The y component on our center is 6. And the radius of the circle is 7. Got it. Okay. So the important things to kind of keep in mind is the generalized equation of a circle and the complete the square number. Really advisable to treat these separately like I did with parentheses. And I like the technique of doing it to both sides, adding the same number to both sides instead of adding and subtracting to the same side. Let's see if the next one's any different. And everything looks exactly the same. Yes.